Let me tell you something. Nothing prepares you for being called a trespasser on your own property, especially when you're holding a box labeled kitchen essentials, and the morning's still so fresh you can taste the dew on the grass. I'll never forget the voice that kicked this whole mess off, sharp as a tack, full of that brittle, fake authority that always makes my skin crawl. Arrest him immediately. He's trespassing on marina property that belongs to the Clearwater Shores community. Just like that, the air snapped, and suddenly my peaceful Saturday exploded into a circus. 3 police cruisers, neighbors poking their heads out like prairie dogs, and my moving truck still idling in the drive, diesel grumbling behind me. My name's Maverick Stone, 35, maritime engineer by trade, and I'd spent the last decade bouncing between ports on 3 continents. Seen a lot of nonsense in my time. Bribes, crooked harbor masters, bureaucrats who drown you in red tape before they let you dock. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for Cordelia Ashworth. There she was, Cordelia, 52 if I had to guess, platinum hairstyled so perfectly it looked like a blueprint. Cream blazer, pearl-handled briefcase that probably cost more than my first car. She pointed at me like I'd just robbed a bank, hollering for the police, looking for all the world like she ran the show. And the cops? Well, you could see it in their eyes. They'd been summoned here before. Officer Bradley Richardson, trying to keep it civil, asks her for the nature of the complaint. Out comes the paper. Emergency HOA Resolution 847, waved around like the Declaration of Independence. This man is illegally occupying marina property that's belonged to our association since 1987, she declares. I could feel every eye on me, some neighbors with their phones out, probably streaming the whole show for the group chat. Now, I've dealt with enough official nonsense in my life to know you document everything. So I set the box down and start recording, introducing myself as the legal owner. Bought the place fair and square at a federal auction just 3 weeks back. When I said federal auction, Cordelia's face did a thing, just a flicker, like the mask slipped for a heartbeat. That's when I knew she wasn't expecting someone like me. Officer Richardson wants proof, so I head to my truck, aware the neighborhood paparazzi are filming every move. I pull out the waterproof case, federal auction paperwork, all legit. And here's the kicker. The property description didn't just include the lake house, it covered a 47-slip commercial marina, pulling in $200,000 a year in fees. My pulse quickened, thinking about it. And if Cordelia had been telling folks it was community property, well, someone was pocketing a whole lot of money on the side. Cordelia's color drained so fast, I thought she'd faint. She stammers, insists the marina's been community property since 1987, that HOA fees have paid for maintenance all along. I'm doing quick math, $1.50 a month from 340 homes, not even counting those slip rentals. We're talking over $1.6 million, and that's before you even factor in the dock fees. The numbers don't lie, but someone sure has been. That's when Captain Elena Farweather steps in, harbor master, 20-year Coast Guard vet, the kind of woman whose presence quiets a crowd. She's got her eye on Cordelia, knows the complaints, knows something's fishy. Turns out, Cordelia's been charging $50 a month for lake access and slip fees. Once to the HOA, once to her own consulting company. Double dipping, plain as day, and for years at that. Neighbors are starting to murmur. Anger, confusion, maybe a little hope that this time, someone's finally going to call Cordelia out. I mention I have the original 1893 deed in my truck. Shows the marina was always private, never HOA. I pull out the federal case files. Marina seized in a corruption investigation. Last owner a guy named Vincent Ashworth. Yeah, Cordelia's old business partner. And now we're getting to the heart of it. Silence. The crowd's so still, I hear the lake lapping at the dock. Cordelia, voice suddenly tiny, tries to explain, I just wanted to protect the community's investment. But Captain Farweather isn't buying it. She warns that sending fake bills through the mail is federal mail fraud. Cordelia looks like she might topple over. I need to call my attorney, she mutters. Good idea, the officer says, but first, hand over those financial records. That's when Betty Clearwater, an old-timer with a spine of steel, steps up. She's got a manila folder fat with canceled checks and threatening letters. $8,000. Bled out of her over 3 years for violations that never existed. That's extortion, says Captain Farweather, not even trying to hide her disgust. More neighbors step forward, Rodriguez family, a yacht club guy, even the man who paid $3,000 for a fake environmental inspection. Suddenly, Cordelia's empire looks a whole lot shakier. Officer Richardson's radio crackles. They're bringing in the financial crimes unit. Cordelia's spinning, calls it all a misunderstanding, tries to claim the fees were voluntary. Betty fires back, voluntary, but with threats of dock condemnation if you didn't pay. Captain Farweather lists the formal complaints, dozens, all systematic. I do the math out loud, $2.3 million in fees, and that's conservative. Officer Richardson looks right at Cordelia. You need to come to the station for questioning. And here's where Cordelia finally cracks, loudly accuses me of threatening violence, tries to paint me as the dangerous outsider. She's desperate. Anyone with half a brain can see it. I call her bluff, ask for those witnesses. She's got nothing. Captain Farweather steps in again. Making false statements to the police is another felony. By now, my moving truck's still running, my stuff half unloaded, and I'm standing in my own driveway while Cordelia's world crumbles around her. I file formal complaints, trespass, attempted theft, false statements. Betty adds extortion and fraud. More neighbors pile on, one by one, years of fear finally giving way to anger and hope. Cordelia, sensing the net closing in, tries to pivot, mentions her husband, the city planning commissioner. I see the panic in her eyes when I say his name aloud. Suddenly, she's worried about who else is going down with her. Officer Richardson's calling for backup and financial detectives. The scene's gotten too big for just the neighborhood watch. And then, arrest. Cordelia's handcuffed. Her famous pearl-handled briefcase splits open, spilling out a stack of emergency resolutions. All pre-printed, all ready for any scenario. Turns out the whole HOA board is just her family, husband, sister-in-law, herself. No independent oversight. No legitimacy. Just a criminal ring dressed up as community caretakers. Betty points it out. Without independent board members, none of Cordelia's authority is legal. Captain Farweather says she'll help contact all the boat owners who've been double-charged. But then comes the gut punch. As the legal owner, I could be held liable by angry neighbors unless I get ahead of this with transparency and documentation. I ask Officer Richardson how long until I can really move in. He says, it's a crime scene for a few hours, but you'll be sleeping here tonight. Good, because I've got a war to plan. That's when the real twist hits. Captain Farweather circles back. Turns out Cordelia's shell companies have been bleeding this and 3 other communities dry. $8 million, 4 states, for 100 families. Elderly, widows, people just trying to enjoy a slice of lake life. Targeted because they were easy marks. She's been running this playbook for a decade. The next morning, the harassment starts. Restraining orders, process servers with phony violations, patrol boats intimidating me from my own dock. Cordelia files emergency petitions, all signed by a judge who just happens to be her brother-in-law. You see the pattern? The family's got their hands in every pot. City planning, the bench, the HOA board. But what she didn't count on was my habit of documenting everything. Then comes the character assassination campaign. Cordelia stages a dramatic fall into the lake, films it, edits the video to make me look like some monster who pushed her in. Before lunch, it's gone viral. Channel 7 runs with it. My clients start dropping me, and folks at the grocery store look at me like I'm the boogeyman. Thing is, Cordelia's forgotten one critical detail: the marina's security cameras. 12 of them. Different angles, audio, the whole setup. Her plotting, her staged fall, her fake apologies caught on tape. And more. Evidence her social media campaign was coordinated with fake profiles, all traced back to her family's IP addresses. I bring it to Captain Farweather. She calls a press conference. This time, Channel 7 has to eat their own words on live TV. The full security footage plays for the town and the world. Neighbors gasp, the press scribbles, and even the mayor steps in. Mayor Stonehaven, tough as nails, dissolves the HOA, fires the city planner, demands a judicial review, and welcomes in the FBI. Cordelia's whole family is arrested, 17 people across 4 states, all tied up in a RICO case that'll go down in history. What happens next? Every victim gets paid back, with interest. The marina becomes a real community space again. Slip rentals drop from $100 to $5 for residents. Transparency is the new law of the land, and my business? Booming, Because now I'm the fraud buster everyone wants on their side. But here's what keeps me up at night. Cordelia's schemes weren't unique. After the case, investigators found a dozen more like it. Fake HOAs, shell companies, intimidation, same playbook, new names. It took one guy buying a house at auction, refusing to be bullied, and documenting every step to start pulling the whole rotten structure down. The real lesson? Never surrender to people who use fear as a weapon. Demand proof. Document everything. And remember that the truth can win if you don't let yourself be intimidated. Some mornings, I sit on my dock, coffee in hand, watching families launch their boats without fear, knowing every dollar goes to honest maintenance, not some crook's pocket. What about you? Ever been caught in a web of lies spun by someone with fake authority, maybe an HOA, a boss, a neighbor? Would you stand your ground or walk away? Drop your stories below. Let's talk about real justice, real courage, and the kind of communities we all deserve. And if you believe in that, like, subscribe, and share this story. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't just winning. It's making sure the bad guys never get to play the same game again.